the dialogue comes up as the artist is reading the book. So I did not create this method. How was school? Alejandra was mean to me. She hurt my feelings. She didn't say sorry. Sorry for what? She said, I don't have black eyes, and I do. Zia, she wasn't being mean. She doesn't know that you were talking about your bruises. She said she was going to give me a book about poop. About what? Poop! I read that wrong. She said she was going to give me a book about poop. About what? Poop! Then she said she was going to give me a book about nothing. I'm so happy. I feel free. Life is full of possibilities. I should have a party or travel. There's nothing to fear. All things are connected. You smell so good, Crookie. What a perfect little dog. I wish this feeling could last forever. It probably will. What could stop it? Only death. What are you doing? Nothing. Can you look at this form? God damn it, it's always something. I don't have time for this. I hate crying at the zoo. I'm ordering the prescriptions for you. You know you can't drink alcohol with these. But that's my favorite thing. It's just a shame you can't drink. You love that. Thanks, Mom. $4 latte? What a rip-off. I could get Zia a new pair of leggings on clearance for that. Oh well, it's cheaper than booze. Let's make some fancy drinks. Oh, I want one. I decided to tell Zia about having bipolar disorder. 5 years old. But I had to wait for an unemotional moment to do it. Zia told me her cousin had read some of Miseryland to her, all the potty parts. There's a part where I say, "Don't hurt me, Mommy, ha ha ha." I'm glad you think that's funny. It would feel terrible if some kid told you something about your own family that you hadn't known. Your mom's bipolar. What's that? I don't know, but it's really bad. I also want her to know without any memory of not knowing. Sit still. I want to talk to you about something important. I defined illness and symptoms and compared the symptoms of colds and flus to those of mental illness. You have a fire in a balloon about to break inside of you. That's what it feels like. I don't really. I know. So that's why I go to the doctor a lot and therapy and the hospital for blood tests and why I take pills. Okay. That was easy. You and Crookie take the same pills. No, not the same pills, but for the same thing. Well, they're both for anxiety, among other things. And you get them at the same store. No, hers come from the vet, and we get mine at the pharmacy. But they're made by the same company. No, they're not. Hers are for dogs. Is this Mommy's present from us? No, it's from Grandma Pam. What is it? A food processor. What are we getting, Mommy? What do you think she would like? Pills. Okay. Before I made comics, I made paintings, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I'm going to backtrack and talk about this comic a little bit. So this is part of sunburning, and one of the bigger themes in sunburning was bipolar disorder, and I had been diagnosed years before that, but it was really a point when I, became open to my daughter, wanting to involve her in my life in an honest way. And one of the things you fear when you tell a child about something sort of serious and that might be sort of bad news is that they'll take it too hard. People dread giving their children news, about having to move or about, any kind of change that's going to happen in the family or that's going to affect them, or this isn't a change, but it was something that I felt like she had to know about because she was going to be affected by it a lot in ways that she either understood or didn't. But one of the things that you don't see coming, or that I didn't see coming, is that when a child does take the news and handles it really well, they make fun of you. It becomes um, almost absurdly casual, which it has become. But I guess that's a good thing. Anyway, I talk about um, I talk about mental illness. I talk about disability um, in my comics, and I talk about it a lot as a teacher because I think I'm in a unique position of teaching a very large number of students who have some sort of mental health problem, um, and even a lot of specifically bipolar students. I uh, I think being able to relate to somebody who has direct experience with it can help in a way that other things that are very important, like therapy, or going to, a resource center, uh, it's just it's a different thing I can offer. And I can offer it because I come from this place of understanding it directly. I don't come from the place of knowing how to solve anything. But I want my classroom to be a place where there's no shame in being very open about things. I think one of the ideas surrounding illness and disability is privacy. And I think it's really important that people do have their privacy protected and that you can make decisions about what you keep private. And certainly we're going to make that decision all the time when we make comics about things. What part of your life or experience or knowledge or interests are you going to write about? And I always advise people to protect yourself, do what's in your own best interest. But I also feel like because a lot of things are private, it is a way of, it expands the taboo. It reinforces it. If you feel like you shouldn't be forthcoming about a disability or a health problem, I think that it can be viewed as something that's embarrassing, and I don't think it should be viewed that way. I think that that's one of the things that's is a very ableist idea is, that disability is something to be ashamed of and hidden and private. I think it can be part of the casual conversation with children, with adults, with people who have a professional relationship like mine as teacher, yours as student. We can still talk about these personal things in that context and make it okay if it's done with respect. So that's out there right away. You know that about me, and I trust you to take care of that information. Let's see. I also talk about medication sometimes in the class. I talk about drinking. I talk about everything that we do to our bodies affects us as artists. It affects our minds. It affects our health. I guess I look at things from a holistic point of view. I'm not on medication, psychiatric medication anymore. And I understand what it was like to be on a lot of different types of medications, and I understand what it's like to be off of them. So I still don't know what's right or what's wrong, and it certainly is different for individuals, and not just for individuals, but for the context of your life at the time. But I like to be open about my range of experiences because I think it could possibly be helpful to people in making up their own minds about things. Okay. Painting. This is what I did for about 10 years, and then there was a very messy years-long transition to comics, which I've also done for about 10 years. And then I sort of went back to painting, and now it's sort of mixed, and I don't really know what I'm doing right now. But this is this was made in undergrad. I went to undergrad at UW-Madison, Wisconsin, and painted small paintings of my friends, oil paintings from snapshots. And I started painting dogs. I eventually painted more and more dogs. And then I started painting objects. And I was always really interested in a type of realism that was not tight but still sort of photorealism. Always referenced that it was taken from a snapshot. It always looks like it comes from a photograph, even though it's a little bit loose. And what kinds of snapshots exist other than our pets and our friends? Food. Sometimes you take pictures of food. Usually, people do it a lot more now than they did when I took this, but it's usually like a special event food. But I like to just take pictures of what I'm eating, just like any standard meal, just as a reflection of, the everyday. And pancakes I've always loved. So I did those paintings right after grad school, and then I went through sort of the first big, I don't know, it wasn't the first. I've always had to stop what I'm doing and explore other ideas. So even though I painted like a lot, many, many paintings a year for those first 10 years, I was always doing other things too. And after grad school, I was exploring taking more photographs of things that I set up and sort of made around the house. And this was a snowman made out of vanilla ice cream in my freezer. And then I'm going to go into this later.